Yes, I am black. I say it all the time. In case you were not entirely sure, a couple of people out there going, is he black? That's actually the beauty of our culture and race, isn't it? We come in all shapes and sizes and skin tones and hair textures. Lots of options out here, brothers and sisters, lots of options. One correction on my bio. I've been married to Nora Jean for 43 years. And anytime you can stay married to a sister, she's a sister, for 43 years, you have a secret. People ask me all the time, Dr. Fraser, what is the secret to staying married to the same sister for 43 years? And the secret can be defined with one word: amnesia. I'm going to put a pin in that. I'll explain that in another part of my talk. I've been given 30 minutes, so my goal in the next 30 minutes is not to give you inspiration, but to give you a revelation. It is not to give you some good ideas, but to give you some God ideas. To move you from the will to do something as it relates to business in America, to the willingness to do it and to do what it takes to do it. So, may God grant me the words to speak your thoughts. Welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to be with us. Valerie, where are you, Valerie? I want to say I love you for doing God's work. This is God's work. This is the hardest work on the planet. And helping us to start and to build businesses. I want to thank Emmett Vaughn. What can I say about Emmett? Emmett, every time you think, you strengthen our community. So you keep on thinking. That's number one. Number two, my brother, and I mean it from the heart. If I could not be me, I would want to be you. There are no speeches that I give around the country, and I've given 2,000 speeches over the past 40 years, 8.5 million frequent flyer miles. I'm 72 years old. I know I look 35 or 40, but you know black doesn't crack, right? But there is no speech that I give around the country that I do not ground it in something out of the good book, because we are spiritual people. Black people are spiritual people. Hispanic people are spiritual people. So I want to ground my talk, and again, Emmett gave me 30 minutes. I can't do my talk in 30 minutes. It takes about an hour, so I'm going to do this in two parts, Emmett. I'm just going to announce it. I'm going to do the first part this afternoon, and if I'm invited back next year, because it's going to be right here next year, I'll do part two, okay? But I can't do all that I want to do. I cannot pack what I want to pack into this speech, 72 years of living and serving our people for 40 years, into 30 minutes. So, but let me ground it in a passage from the Bible. This passage is a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are not that many direct quotes from Jesus Christ in the Bible, but this one is. It is John 5:30. John 5:30. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus. Jesus couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. So what's up with you? Why would you think you could do anything significant, anything worth talking about on your own by yourself in a vacuum? It is simply not possible. This passage says to me that we were born to network, that we were born to build relationships of friendship and trust, that we were born to link together in a common bond of caring and sharing. The great philosopher Frankie Beverly said, we are one. And we are. We are one. So this afternoon, there are a couple of topics I want to touch on, because I can only touch on. I want to touch on leadership because you are business leaders. You are here. I want to touch on time. And as a 72-year-old black man living in America, where the average lifespan of a black man living in America is 72, I want to touch on time. And then I want to touch on relationship. David Malone talked about that in the wonderful small business workshop that we had. You were not smart enough to be in that place and in that space. You really missed a very, very powerful presentation. But he emphasized the importance of relationships. So let me start with leadership. The great Peter Drucker, the late great Peter Drucker, said it best. Peter Drucker said that there are only three things happen naturally in organizations and communities: friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else requires leadership. Leadership. But let me redefine leadership for you. I think to be a leader is to be awake and alert and to be dissatisfied at all times. Oh yes, we have come a long way, but we have much further to go. Therefore, I am not happy, but I am motivated by a positive anger directed towards positive change. Emmett and I see eye to eye on that. Leadership is influence. Leadership is influence. And it is the art of mobilizing others to want to struggle for shared aspirations. So your ability to gather others to invest in either intellectual capital or financial capital in a shared aspiration will be critical as we move forward in developing businesses in the black community. The Council on Economic Policy came out with a devastating study 2 weeks ago. Here was the conclusion of the study. It said if nothing changes in the African American community or the Hispanic community, if nothing changes, it will take black people 228 years, if ever, to close the income and wealth gap between black folk and white folk, and it will take Hispanics 84 years, if ever, if nothing changes. 228 years, that's about the amount of time it took us to free ourselves. Something must change in black America and among our Hispanic brothers and sisters. We must move from being a consumer class to a merchant class. Our Jewish brothers and sisters are the merchant class. We are the consumer class. We are a $1.2 trillion annual economy. If we were a nation, we'd be the 16th richest nation in the entire world, but our money goes in one direction, away from us, and we're some of America's most conspicuous consumers. So unless we change to a merchant class of people over the next several generations, we will be relegated to permanent second-class citizenry. Why? Because in a market-based economy, in a democratic capitalist society, the only color that really matters is green. So until our pile of green is as deep and as high and as wide and as leveraged as any other cultural group's pile of green, we will never be considered an equal at the table of democratic capitalism. We must fix that. That will require leadership. You are the leaders. Which means that over the next several generations, we must increase the intellectual curiosity of our people to explore blue ocean strategies like marijuana. I hope you saw the headline yesterday. If California passes their new marijuana law, that industry in California alone is $6 billion. Vi is going to talk about that a little bit later today. So we must think outside of the box. We must move from being a risk-averse people We are risk averse. That's why such a tiny percentage, 2 to 3% of our population, is engaged in entrepreneurship. We are risk adverse for a lot of sociological and institutionalized reasons. No need to cover that. You understand the reason for that. But we must shift our thinking. That will require leadership. That will require a different level of modeling and coaching. One of the things we did at the Power Networking Conference this year is we made some of the top entrepreneurial minds available for one-on-one, two-on-one, three-on-one, up to five-on-one counseling. So we got Jeff Hoffman. I don't know if you know who Jeff Hoffman is, but he's just the inventor of Priceline and also invented the computers that when you go to the airport and you have to sign in on the computer. Jeff Hoffman invented that when he was 27. So we arranged for 6 very bright brothers to meet with Jeff Hoffman in Cleveland to spend an entire day with Jeff Hoffman talking about ideas. We must do this over and over and over again. I'm going to put a pin in that. And I want to talk seriously and keep it on the real about time. As I said earlier, I'm 72. The average black man lives to be 72, so I'm very sensitive about time. I will tell anybody in a New York minute, do anything but don't waste my time. I will get more money, but I will not get any more time. And I don't know how much time I have, but don't you waste it. God gave Mozart 35 years to write some of the greatest music in the world. God gave Dr. King 39 years to change America, and God gave his own son 33 and a half years to change the world. Don't you waste your time. Yeah, you will get more money, but you're not going to get any more time. Now, how will you know that you're wasting your time? Very simple. If you can go to your business tomorrow or your job tomorrow and quit and be happy, you're in the wrong damn business or the wrong damn job. So my advice to you is on tomorrow you go wherever you're doing your business or doing your job, you pack your crap up and get the hell out of there and stop ruining that business and stop ruining that company. And you find what God has put you here to do, because you don't have a lot of time. In the sands of time, it is but nothing. Don't waste it. Are you on purpose? Are you on fire about what you are doing? So let me put this in a philosophical question kind of way. What gift are you holding hostage from our community because of your personal fears? What gift are you holding hostage because you're scared, because you're risk adverse? You need to think about that. But my point is, don't waste your time. Leaders do not waste their time. Every minute is valuable. Leaders understand that there are 3 things that clients and customers want. It's real simple, brothers and sisters. In case no one has ever told you, I'm going to tell you. So you will now never be able to say that you don't know what your clients and customers want. What is the number one thing that they want? They want results. They want a return on their investment. Duh. And they want peace of mind. And getting a return on their investment and working with excellence gives them peace of mind. So the number one thing your customer wants is results. Now, here are 2 other things that maybe you hadn't thought about. What's the second thing that your customers or clients really want? They want thrills. They want great partners and great customers to respond in a heroic kind of way. We are all amazed and drawn to over-the-top kinds of efforts. Your customers and clients want a smart person working harder on your behalf than they are willing to work on their own behalf. That's a thrill. Your customers want thrills. Are you working harder on their behalf than they are? Let me say that differently. Chase excellence, never chase money. Money has a very interesting way of finding excellence. So your customers want thrills. Business leaders understand that. And thirdly and finally on this point, your customers want their egos assuaged. Is it nice to feel important? Oh, you bet it is. Of course it is. Your customers want you to treat them better than anybody else treats them. And not just say it, but actually do it. That's what your customers want. They want their egos assuaged. Leaders and business leaders understand that. Business leaders also understand that you have to transcend being good at just functional and analytical or problem-solving tasks in the business world. You must be able to build relationships that enable you to create a fabric of personal contacts that will provide you support, feedback, insight, resources, and information. That's called networking, brothers and sisters. Leaders understand that the alternative to effective networking is to fail in business. You simply will not reach a business leadership position, or you will not succeed at leadership without effective networking skills. Let me say that differently. Business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you are really in case no one has ever told you, is the business of building relationships. You have to protect your brand, your name, your reputation. There are simple ways to do that if you're consistent. Know that your smile is your logo. That your personality, your EQ, which is more important than your IQ, your emotional intelligence, is your business card. And this is the key one. How you leave others feeling after they have had an experience with you becomes your trademark. Do you have a high emotional intelligence? As you grow older and wiser, you will understand that your EQ will be more important than your IQ. How you manage your 5 most important emotions and use the management of those emotions to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships at work, at home, and in the community. Let me say that a different way, in case you don't get it. You can make a sale and make a commission, or you can make a friend and make a fortune. I've spent 40 years of my life making friends. I've sold millions of dollars of advertising and sponsorship for the various things that I've done in our business over the last 30 years. And I can tell you this, I have never sold 1 penny of anything to anybody I did not have a close personal friendship with. Oh yes, I added value, no question about that, because I understand the purpose of life, and I hope you understand the purpose of life. The purpose of life is very simple. It's not complicated. We make things complicated. God doesn't make anything complicated. We tend to make things complicated so that we don't have to do them. So let me uncomplicate for you the purpose of life. This applies to how you deal with other people. The purpose of life is to love, to give, to serve, and to add value to somebody or something. That each day is about making your best better. That's the purpose of life. That is the reason God has put you here. To love, to give, to serve, and to add value to somebody or something every single day. That's the purpose of life. And when we apply this understanding to our relationships, we build the kind of nourishing and trusted relationships that help our business grow. I've been in business. Next year, we'll be celebrating at the Power Networking Conference 30 years. 30 years. Now, think about what I sell. I employ about 9 people, and I sell personal growth and development, lifelong learning, and constant never-ending improvement to black people. That's what I sell for 30 years, and I've thrived. Because I understand the purpose of life. Let me say that differently. This is a little deep. I want to say this and still be loved. Everything we do is so that somebody will love us. The clothes we wear, the successes that we achieve, the cars that we drive, is so that somebody will love us, because as trite as this may sound, yes, it is all about love, and you can't start it like a car, and you can't stop it with a gun. It's so that somebody will love us. We have an insatiable appetite to be loved. That you could tell me 10 times a day, brother, I love you. And I would enjoy it. I could say the same thing to you and you would enjoy it, but tomorrow I'd be looking for the same compliment. This applies to business. If you understand this about business, you understand that relationships and friends are everything. Let me say that differently. Friends are critically important because it's God's way of apologizing for your relatives. Yeah. You don't pick your relatives, but you can pick your friends. So God, in his infinite wisdom, understood the power of relationships and the power of friendship. 23 years ago, I wrote a book called Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the Black Community. In the book, I said very simply that the skills necessary to do the job or to do the business are not the skills necessary to get the job or to get the business. I defined networking for black people in America. I said that networking is the identification and the building of relationships for the purpose of sharing information, opportunities, and resources. And the emphasis on that definition is on the building of relationships and sharing. Why? Because all of life is about relationships. All of life is about working with and through other people. In fact, there is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum. In fact, the most powerful asset that you will have in the 21st century will not be your computer. I am sorry. It will be your relationships. Why? Because all entrepreneurship, all job searches, all upward mobility in the public and private sector workplace, all community building, all organization building, all nation building are inherently networking initiatives. That it is your ability to shape the scope of your search for human resources and bring them to bear on your challenges and opportunities in life is what will ultimately determine your level of excellence or success in life. It's all about relationships. There's an interesting article in Time magazine with Sumner Redstone. How many of you know who Sumner Redstone is? Raise your hand. He is the founder chairman of Viacom. Viacom bought who? BET for $3.2 billion. Anytime you can buy anything for $3.2 billion and have anything left over, you have stupid money. Sumner Redstone has stupid money. So they were interviewing, Time magazine was interviewing. Here's the article. And here's the question that the interviewer asked Sumner Redstone. You're in China, Mr. Redstone, negotiating new business deals, but it's still a very regulated and protected industry. Has the market opened up for you, Mr. Redstone? And here's what old Sumner said. He said, I've been coming to China for many years. And those years were spent, for the most part, in building relationships of friendship and trust with various officials of the Chinese government. And as a result, this is Sumner, from a commercial standpoint, the doors have opened and they have opened wide. Old Sumner now controls cable in China. Through what? Relationships of friendship and trust. Let me say that differently. Your key to success, brothers and sisters, will be directly related to your willingness to ask people for help. And whomever you are asking for help will ultimately determine your success in life. So what I'm saying to you is be careful who your friends are. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. Proverbs 27:17 says it very succinctly, as iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. What am I really saying to you? I'm really saying to you, don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. Now, for those of you raising children, let me give you some advice. I've raised 2 beautiful boys. I hope you're spending as much time raising the friends of your children as you are spending raising your child. Why? Because the pressure, the peer pressure on your children will be far greater from their friends than any pressure you will ever be able to put on your child. Now, believe it or not, I am out of time. There's just so much to say, so little time to say it. A half hour is the proper amount of time to say what I need to say in this moment, hopefully to prepare you for a more granular look at what it takes to build a network. Because everything is a system. Everything is a system. I've built a network of 71,000 top black professionals, business owners, and community leaders. And I did it using a system that turned into a habit. So write this down very quickly. Here's what I do every single day and have done it every single day, 365 days a year for 40 years. So you can imagine the cumulative effect of doing these few things every day, 365 days a year for 40 years. You can imagine the cumulative effect on my life. The reason I've been able to thrive for 30 years in an esoteric business of intellectual curiosity. Number 1, every single day, I write a minimum of 5 notes a day to people in my network. Now, I used to do them by hand. Now, with the internet, minimally, I am connecting with people in my network, minimally 5 a day. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 20, but I am connecting with people in my network and finding out how you're doing, what you're doing, who you're doing. How can I help you? How can I serve you? Every day. The second thing I do every day, I make 5 phone calls every single day to old friends and family. Now, you have to manage those calls because you don't want to stay on the phone for 2 hours with old friends and family. So if you are a friend or a family, you might get a call from me that is framed like this, Pam. It goes, "Hi, this is George. I'm just about ready to get on a plane in about 5 minutes. I was thinking about you. How's mama and them? How the children? Whatever. But I've already framed that I've got 3 or 4 or 5 minutes." That's how I manage phone calls to old friends and family. That's the second thing I do. Every single day, I make at least 5 personal contacts a day to new friends. I get business cards like you get business cards, and I never worry about giving out business cards. I've given out 31,000 business cards in 40 years, and people used to say, "Dr. Fraser, aren't you concerned you give out so many?" No. I'm not concerned at all. Here's what I've learned in nearly 72 years, that 99.999% of the people I've given a business card to in 40 years will never, ever follow up. We don't follow up. So I don't have to worry. I can give everybody in this room, I probably might hear from one or two, maybe, and they probably are old friends. So, I make personal contacts. When I get a card, I follow up. How you doing? Good to meet you. Here's what I'm doing. How can I help you? That kind of thing. The fourth thing I do every single day is I make 5 sales calls every single day, but I'm not selling anything. I'm just seeing how you're doing. See, the last thing I want you to hear from me is when I want something from you. No. You're going to hear from me year-round. And it's going to be in words and conversation on how can I help you, how are things going, those kinds of things. Giving you extraordinary service that I had talked about earlier. Number 5, and I'm just about finished. Now, this is the deep one. This is a little bit harder, but this is the important one. This is the magic bullet right here. Most people never think of this. I make a minimum of 5 introductions every single day to people who need to know each other. Imagine the cumulative effect of introducing 5 people to another 5 people who need to know each other and haven't done that for 40 years. Finally, I spend at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes on social media dripping on people with our brand. In other words, providing them advice and counsel, perhaps something inspirational, aspirational, something that will infect, affect, and effect you. Anybody that follows me on Facebook knows that I do that. So that's how I have built my network. And most importantly, I have delivered myself from the toxic people in my life. And you need to deliver yourself from toxic people in your life. Right? You have to this is what very, very successful people know how to do, that less than successful people really don't know how to do, and that is to remove toxic people and bloodsuckers from your life, people who drain you of your time, your energy, and your patience. This is huge. This is huge. There's an old saying, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it will always be yours. If it doesn't come back, it was never yours to begin with. Well, there's a little adage to that I've put on, and that is, if it sits in your living room, if it messes up all your stuff, if it eats all your food, if it uses your cell phone, takes your money, and doesn't appear to realize that you have set it free, you've either married it or you gave birth to it. This is huge. There are people that come into our life, I'm serious now, that you must simply bless and release, or you will not be going where you want to be going. They will drag you right down with them. And many of them are close to you, but they are toxic. And you must rid yourself of them. This is easy to say. This is extraordinarily difficult to do because you see, smart people rarely hang around with stupid people unless they're related to them. When God wants to get into your life, God will send a person. When the devil wants to get into your life, the devil will send a person. Your task in life, brothers and sisters, in case no one has ever told you, is to determine which one is which and who has been sent by whom. Our enemies have been anointed to have us do those things that we would never consider doing. It is in the 23rd Psalm. So I want to close with a prayer, because that's what black folk do. We pray a lot. And we need to be praying a lot. We have a lot to be thankful for, and we have a lot to pray for. So if you will do me a personal favor and take the hand of the person on the left and the person on the right, I close with the prayer that we close every year at the Power Networking Conference. May we always remember those who have gone before us. May we be inspired by their vision and their valor. May their lives continually remind us that service is more important than success, that people are more important than possessions, that principle is more important than power. May whatever we do be shaped and molded by honesty, excellence, and commitment. May our children and our children's children carry forth with pride the nobility of the histories that are represented here and the various traditions that are represented in this room. To the Creator of all of us, by whatever name we may refer to that Creator, we dedicate our lives to make this world better and more beautiful. Can I get an amen? Amen. God bless you and thank you very much.